Good morning, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Good morning. It's a back to business morning. I have so for all of you who have been freaking out and sending me emails, I didn't blow off a doctor's appointment yesterday. Doctor blew off my appointment yesterday, so I am going today to see the doctor. I am going to be going in for a full workup at 9 o'clock this morning, which means I got to get there a little bit earlier than that. And that is Charlie Murphy. Good to see you. That is going to mean that I'm going to be doing all of it. Probably going to be running on a machine, and I'm going to be doing a heart workup and all of those things. Hello from France. What an honor. It is an absolute honor from Paris, France. God bless. Thank you. It's an honor to have you here. So today, people, we're going to talk about a taboo subject, right? This one is taboo. If you are in recovery, there's some things you're just not allowed to do, right? First of all, no boinking, right? There ain't going to be any sex. They don't want you to do any of that when you're first getting back into sobriety, and they do not want you to fall in love. They don't want you to have a love relationship with anyone. And the reason for this is really a solid idea, right? I'm talking about a super solid idea, because what happens is you get trauma bonding. You get people who come together and they've got just two absolute terrible situations that they've been trying to overcome. And there's one thing in common in both of those situations. And what they have in common is there's nobody loving them. There's nobody there meeting their needs. Now, that doesn't mean they don't have a husband or a wife or any of that. But if you're getting your needs filled in a bottle, if you're getting your needs filled in a straw or a needle or whatever, then there's no real relationship between you and your significant other. So very often times people get sent to rehab and instantly they meet someone and there's trauma bonding. Hello, Maja. Good to see you. When I sent my ex-wife to rehab, my first wife, I sent my ex-wife to rehab and she fell in love. She found somebody in there that had none of the problems I had. And it was really obvious that that person didn't have that, because they were sitting right there in group and talking about how fantastic they were going to be going forward in life and how they weren't going to do this and they weren't going to do that. And that stuff's out. I'm not doing that anymore. So they really don't want you to get into any kind of a relationship at all. Within the first, they say 3 years. I've heard people say 5. Some people say 1. But hello, Donna, good to see you. Of getting sober, you're not supposed to have a relationship of any kind for that period of time. And you know what? Probably solid advice. And I'll let you roll over that one yourself and tell me what you think of it. I, on the other hand, think it's an awful piece of advice. I am well, Nancy. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I think it's an awful piece of advice. The thing that heals us is connection, right? We've all come to believe that. If you didn't, you probably wouldn't be here listening to me. The opposite of addiction is connection, right? Well, what is connection? Honestly, is it interaction? Is it talking to people? Yeah, I think it's probably all those things, right? If you can put yourself into situations where you're going to have encounters with people, safe ones. Book clubs are fan-freaking-tastic, right? Going to anything where you're all rallying around one point, right? If I go to a watch expo, I don't need to know anybody, and instantly I can be having conversations with all of these people because we have something in common, and it doesn't matter whether they're from a different part of the country or if their religion is different or if their skin color is different. We both got a thing for 1972 Rolex Submariners, right? And it's the reason that people tend to build friendships around ball clubs or around hobbies or around playing golf or whatever, because you don't really need to know a whole lot about an individual to start bonding with them about something that you have a shared experience with. Well, that gets real odd in rehab, doesn't it? because now what we're talking about is sharing with bonding. And Valerie 102 says, in my rehab AA group, they called it the 13th step, the trauma bonding falling in love thing. And it's really tough on women. I talk to women all the time who say, oh, damn chair. I talk to women all the time who say, one of the reasons that I don't go to 12-step programs is because it's a meat market. And because when I walk through the door, they're like, ooh, blonde girl, or no, brunette. No woman wants to deal with that if they're trying to get sober, right? And no man should want to deal with that if they're trying to get sober. But here's the problem. The problem is we use drugs and alcohol, right? We use drugs and alcohol. Becky, you missed the first few minutes. Screw it. We'll just start from scratch. All right, everyone. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Let me tell you what I did last night. I'm kidding, Becky. You're good. You didn't miss much. The problem is that the trauma bonding concept. You meet someone and they start to talk to you about all the things that are going wrong in their life. They meet somebody who is now sober. And it's not just that this person isn't the bad person from their life anymore. This person's the freaking savior. This person doesn't do drugs. This person doesn't lie to people. This person doesn't do this. And of course not, because they're telling you this. They're in a meeting, right? You're sharing this. That love's essential, man. It really is. Love is what heals everything. Connection, real connection, is love between two people. And is it healthy to get to fall in love with somebody while you're in your first year to 3 years in rehab? Probably not, right? You don't know what you can bring. You can bring you, Lady Veritas, right? That's what you can bring. And bringing you is absolutely huge. It couldn't be more essential, right? It literally couldn't. Hi, Tommy. I came over from Ron. We're all in the same boat of being alive and having problems. So I don't know what I can bring, but I'm here. All you got to do is pay attention, and it's going to make a lot of sense very quickly what you can bring. Because what keeps all of us normal here is connection. What keeps all of us here is connection. It's the ability to start to care about people other than yourself, right? The 12th step, if you believe in 12 steps, is that having had a spiritual awakening, you want to tell people about this stuff, right? Trauma bonding is tough to break, but necessary. The Bronx loves the boat. Well, we love the Bronx. Big fan of New York. Always been a huge fan of the city so nice they named it twice. If you do bring something, may I suggest candy corn? Really good chance there's usually candy corn within a couple inches of me, so it's safe. So I'm of the firm belief that as opposed to going with this concept of we're not going to build any relationships of any kind for the first 3 years that we're in recovery. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You're not going to get a whole lot done. You're not. Right? The opposite of addiction is connection. And we just had a great question from someone that said, what can I possibly bring here? Connection. You're going to bring the same thing we all bring because it's the cure for everything, people. It's the cure for everything. You see, we as guys, we get the right, or if you happen to be on the other side of the pond, you do that stiff upper lip thing. You're going for to go see an oncologist who might tell you that it's the end of your life and you're going to do well, I'm fine. It's no big thing, instead of saying to somebody, hey, I'm scared crapless. I am scared crapless. This is a very difficult thing for me. Becky, I'm so sorry. She says, I was in a relationship 4 years after my husband died. And the first person I dated, he was an abusive narc. Anyway, this was before I got with Dave for 8 years. He is the one I told you just passed away. Becky has had just so much loss. I'm so sorry. I mean, really am. That's more than anyone should have to deal with in a lifetime. It really is. But I'll tell you something. I don't care what your belief system is, but whether you believe in a God, the universe, or the higher power, whatever you want to call it, whatever makes you happy, meditation, no belief at all. In my belief, boy, there's something really heavy coming your way. You're being put through this for something incredible. And people used to tell me that, and it used to piss me off, man. They would say to me, "Oh, wow, God must have a plan for you. I mean, why are you, why are you not dead with all the dope you've done? Or how is it that you didn't get life in prison? I mean, think of all of the bad things that should happen. Boy, God's really got plans for you." And boy, that used to just chap me. I hated hearing people say that. But I'm definitely along for the ride. Mike H, I love this. Mike H says, the only thing I need to fear is not living up to 100% of my potential. The only failure I shall fear is not achieving my drama or your dream. I'll tell you what, Mike, I felt this way for a really long time, especially after I got sober. And it's different for everybody. I know it is. But for me, I'm damaged in so many ways. I'm damaged from the life of drugs and the life of crime. And I'm never going to be 100%, and I'm never going to get for that reason to 100%. But you know what? If you're getting everything you can get out of yourself, I know I'm leaving stuff on the table. I look back and I realize that this just because of brain damage and because of things that I can't keep up anymore in the same way. And the boat should, there are opportunities that get missed because I'm not what I used to be. But I'll tell you what, for me, it really comes down to this silly thing that we're talking about right now. For me, it really comes down to love. And I'll tell you something, people. There was a time in my life where I probably would have been very uncomfortable to say things in public that I say now. In fact, there probably would have been a time in my life where I would have been embarrassed to admit to my closest friends, much less to the entire world. Alan Valentine just left. He was over for 2 weeks. I love him, man. I love him. He's just I can't tell you the fun that I had with Alan. I'm glad that Ron and Vanessa and a lot of people who are still here. Laura got a chance to meet him. Serge got a chance to meet him because he's a unique individual, and I'm glad that Seventh Son had an opportunity to meet him as well. It was cool to me, Ray, that that people got an opportunity to meet this guy. I love him. There was a period in my life where I don't think I could have said that out loud. Becky says he trauma bonded me because he knew I missed my husband and took advantage of me, even financially. You said you never been ahead, but I have. You said you never been head, but I have. My faith is basically gone. I don't know what I did to deserve all of this. Well, Becky, you didn't do anything to deserve all of this. That's almost a Scientologist kind of a concept that you bring this stuff onto you. Well, that's horseshit. I'm sorry, it is. I could probably right now go through 15 minutes of telling you things that nobody on this lifeboat knows about me, things that I have not shared, and I've shared a lot about my past. But I could stick with some of the ones that we know about. I had my hands cuffed above a cage like this while people beat me like a pinata. I went through some pretty horrific things physically, and then the woman that I loved, stole my identity, ran up about 6 figures in debt, and then took off. And I can go through these, and there's a lot that are just so personal that I've never even mentioned them, Becky. But you know what? I didn't do anything to deserve them. And I found myself sitting in a cell, right? And while I wasn't sitting, I was standing. I wanted to sit. It wasn't a possibility because I was hanging by my hands. But My hands were cuffed above my head like this. And directly in front of me was a clock, like the old school clocks that you used to get in school. If you want to, just for craps and giggles, put your hands above your head like this, cross them, and put your hands above like this, and try to hold them above your head for, say, 5 minutes. I watched that clock go 3.5 hours with my hands above, and it got to the point where I was hanging on them because I couldn't hold them up anymore. And it was getting hard just to hold up my weight. And I hated the people that did this so badly that as I was hanging there by my hands, I was thinking to myself, it's a pretty small state, right? I already know the name of the street that this prison sits on. And if I were to just park down the street, Dollar General or whatever, and spend, say, 5 days marking down every car that comes and goes, I could then start following these people out, and I could find the people that did this to me. And then I thought about killing them. And it wasn't a matter of just taking them off of the planet. It was a matter of these really elaborate tortures that I had set up in my head and what I was going to do. And I remember thinking to myself, what did I do to deserve this? I mean, yeah, I'm not a good person, but what did I do that brought all of this onto me? And a cop came by and said something, and it doesn't matter what he said. It was not very nice. And I remember praying, and it was the normal Tommy Scoville prayer. God, take the pain away. I'll do whatever the hell you want later down the road, but make the pain stop, because the pain is. But I didn't get to that. I really didn't. And I'm not here to tell you that I'm a great religious saint and I'm a Christian that people should emulate, or that I'm a Buddhist, or I'm any of that crap. That's not what I'm here to tell you. But I'm just here to tell you that for the first time I prayed, and my prayer was, you know what, God, I don't want to hate these people. I was more disturbed by how much hate I had than the pain that I was in. I was more disturbed that I was fantasizing about peeling these people's skin off, right? And doing things that I'm not that person. I'm not a sick bastard, but I was literally fantasizing about peeling these people and filleting them. This is what was going on in my head. And I got this epiphany, man. Like right there, handcuffed, I realized that, you know what? They could come in and rape me. I'm hanging by my hands. There's nothing I could do. If they wanted to come in and sodomize me, they could. And they had been joking about things like that for about an hour. So there was nothing that I could do but hang there naked. But I could not hate. It was the only thing that I had control over. Right? That's it. It was the only thing I had control over. And I'll tell you, Becky, that began that began everything in my life from that moment forward. Honest to God, that was the linchpin in the changing for me. There was a lot of crap that came up in my life. It hasn't been smooth sailing since by any stretch of the imagination. But what I've come to realize is two things. I don't bring bad to me. The things when sick people do things, right? Yeah, I deserve to be handcuffed that day. I did something wrong. But the fact that these people took pleasure in hurting me was them. It's on them. It's their fault, not mine. And I was able to let it all go. I really was. I was able to let it all go. And I was able to focus on the things that I had control over. And I'll tell you something, Becky, you're not doing any of this. You sadly got in the environment of a sick piece of a sick individual, right? Those people exist. They're vampires, truthfully. They're psychic vampires. They're financial vampires. They derive their life by sucking off of others, and it's a horrifically sad thing. It really is. I mean, these people are bastards, but they probably deserve pity and prayer, because the situation that they find themselves in is the saddest in the world. That's literally how they live. You're going to get you're going to get to a point where you have to come to grips. This is recovery, and this is everything. I don't care if you're a normie, but you're going to come to grips with the fact that there are things in our past that are going to leave permanent scars, and our choice is how we deal with the scars. Right? Our choice is how we deal with the scars. When my ex-wife divorced me, I was in jail. You guys know that story, but she was having sex with the drug dealer that was selling me my dope. She decided that was going to be the person that she was going to move into my bedroom. And she would come and visit me on Mondays, talking about how tough it was around the house. So my father, who was on his last legs, would go down to her house and help her, buy her a refrigerator because she was having problems with the one that she had. While my father was doing this and watching the delivery men deliver a refrigerator to the kitchen, she was in my bedroom with a drug dealer, right, who was laying naked in my bed. I worked up a pretty good amount of hate about that, right? In prison, we call that guy Sancho, right? The running joke in prison is that when you're locked up, there's a guy that's taking care of your girl on the outside, and his name is Sancho. My wife made it a little bit more than 8 days. God bless her. From the time I got arrested, she was cheating on me within 8 days. You know what, Lydia? It is hard, and I appreciate everybody saying, sorry, Tommy, and all that. But guess what? That's her. Seriously. That's her. Was I a good husband? Hell no. I was doing dope. I was doing all kinds of things. But she turned her back on me in 8 days. That says who she is as a person. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm not carrying that around. Thank you. I'll give that away. I'm not carrying that around. You understand? I'm not carrying around any of the hate, and I'm not carrying around any of the negative thoughts, and I'm not carrying around any of those things that stand a chance of making my life less than perfect. Now, is life ever going to be perfect? No. Neither is our country, right? But we should be striving for more perfect every day. More perfect. I want it to be a little bit more perfect today than it was yesterday. The next person that I meet, I'm not going to do the marriage thing again, right? That's waved bye-bye to me. I don't think that that's a possibility in my future. So the people that I meet now, I'm not walking in there going, is this person bride material? Is this person? But I want love. I absolutely want love. And I'm probably the luckiest man alive. And I say this all of the time. But Jody is what we called him in county jail. That's funny. Yeah, it was always Sancho. Tell Sanchito that if he knows what is good for him, he best go running. Sublime. If he could find that, Heine and that Sancho that she found. Yeah, that's all about. So that's Sancho. Letting go of anger is huge. I still get angry. I still get angry. I still get angry at the ex. I still get angry at all kinds of things. I just don't allow any of them to maintain. I can get really pissed off for 5 minutes and I can go scream. There are people on the lifeboat who anger me more than anything in the world. People who I work with who are just, you watch them hurting themselves, and it's the frustration is, but I love them. And when they say to you, whatever you do, no love in the first year, in the first 1 to 3 years. If you're going to fall in love in the first 1 to 3 years, you're going to fail and you're going to go back to doing dope. If you don't start loving people in the first 60 days you're sober, you're going to go back and start doing dope. You hear me? Now, it doesn't have to be somebody you want to marry, and it doesn't have to be somebody that any of that. You understand? It doesn't have to be any of that. But it has to be connection. And connection and love, you can define them any way you want. But connection and love are absolutely the same thing. Russ says you can't go through life with a bag of rocks hung over your shoulder. And he's right. It's so easy for us to load ourselves down with so many things that make us miserable. And yes, now those Sublime lyrics suddenly start making sense. Yeah, that's what happens, right? He's in jail, and his Heine, right? You got the guys in prison talk about their Heines. That's their number one girl, right? That's the one that they love. So yeah, very, very funny song. Inmates love it. When the song, tell Sanchito, little Sancho, tell Sancho I'm going to come and stick a 45 down his throat. Everybody gets pretty happy about that. At that part of the song in prison. But I want you to love people. I want you to love again. Jenny, I love you. Jenny, I love you. Jenny, if you are happy, hon, I am the happiest person for you in the world. Yes, everyone's shocked. I never married or had kids. I'm not planning to get married or paying to get divorced. No husband, no kids, no wrinkles, drop dead, gorgeous. Do you love it? Good for you, Jenny. Jenny, that doesn't mean you can't love everything that moves, right? Love is essential, people. You understand? That's a fantastic story. If you ever want to come on the lifeboat and tell it, I would love to do that interview. Shoot me an email at one of the emails. sober@myyahoo.com. It's a fascinating story. Absolutely. Lydia Vaughn, Stretch Claw. Great comment. You don't need to carry the weight of other people's actions, but there are often something to learn from them. Just look after yourself. I'll tell you something. You have to learn from every one of these. You have to, or you're doomed to repeat them. And like I sit here right now and I say, I'm not going to get married again. I'm not good at it. I'm a terrible husband. All of the things that make me a really fun boyfriend make me a really bad husband, right? I'm not a good husband. I know that when I talk, about my ex, that everybody in here hates her. And you know what? She's got it coming. She was not particularly kind at the end. But you know what? I did that. That was all me. If I had been a fantastic husband, she would have been a fantastic wife. Because when I was a fantastic person, she was a fantastic wife. But as I started to go downhill, she went with me, and that's on me. So I don't ever want to paint that picture that I'm here talking about how awful my the lawyer was or anything else, because she wasn't. Simply, she wasn't. She was a beautiful person inside and out, and I managed to do a lot of damage to that. And then that's something that I deal with as well. I got a new dog, Izzy, this week. I quit smoking weed the day I got her. It ain't wrong, I think. Dennis, and I love it. Good for you, man. Good for you. Now, Dennis, we're going to love you one way or the other. Does everybody here get that? Everybody here get that? Dennis has decided he's going to quit smoking dope. He got a new dog. He doesn't think that's wrong. I think it's fantastic. But you know something? If a while down the road he somehow smokes, it's not going to make him less of anything. Do you understand? People, we got to start loving one another for who we are. When someone steps on this boat, if they smell like they just had a fifth of bourbon, right? We're going to love them the same way as if they're saying, I'm celebrating 35 years of not doing anything. It's essential that we start building relationships of love. Don't jump in the sack, right? Don't start building those kind of relationships. I'm not talking about, but I want us to treat every single person here with love. And if that sounds hokey, it sounds really hokey that Captain Tommy wants us to love everybody here, then leave, please. If you're not seeing that, then this isn't, then what I'm painting here isn't what you're looking at. What saves addicts is love. What saves people who are struggling with mental illness is love. What saves people who feel lonely is love. People who are eating themselves to death because they find comfort only in food need love, right? People who don't eat at all because when they look in the mirror, they see somebody that's 400 pounds in spite of the fact that they're wasting away. They need love. They need connection. Connection is the key to all of this, people. It really is. Connection is the key to all of it. And you know what connection is? It's a fancy word for love. There are people on this boat who I deal with on a regular basis who are struggling with mental illness. And in some cases, the mental illness it seems insurmountable. It's it causes, very difficult communication, and it causes, mood swings and things. But some of these individuals, you do a mood swing kind of thing, but when they're who they are, they're the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life. Love is sticking around through the bad times so that you can see the good times, and we don't do enough of that as people, but damn it, let's start. Huh? Russ, you are a gentleman. You really are. I really, really appreciate that. And Russ, I hope that you're getting the channel buttoned up exactly how you want it. I am going to be holding Russ's hand through the launch of him getting a channel up. Russ has some really unique perspective stuff from prison, and he's articulate. And there are too many prison shows out there for guys that just want to scare the hell out of you and talk about how bad it is. And Russ has got a message that goes with it. I'm looking forward to seeing him a huge part of this umbrella. I love how SPTV take care of one another. I love how that they all fire back at one another. They all talk to each other. They all make sure that they're doing the same kind of subjects. And it's building an umbrella that is attacking a piece of feces that wants to call itself a church, right? I love it. I love how all of it's going down. It's beautiful. I love the umbrella. I see the same thing happening with us. I think it's going to be an umbrella of people who are running channels that want to better people, that want to help people get sober, and live their best life. And I really hope that's going to be the case, and I think it is. And I want Russ. I really anticipate Russ is going to be a huge part of that. Everybody loves his content. You can tell by the number of views. If you just look, we get a lot of views every time Russ is on. So thank you, my brother. I really appreciate you, Wood. I really do. I appreciate you. Let's see. Don't know how to date since I quit drinking. Now I dance in my living room all the time by myself. I tell everyone if I married any my exes, I would be divorced, meaning we broke up anyway. Well, there you go. Jenny, nothing wrong with dancing alone in a living room. Holy hell. I think it's one of the most beautiful things in the world. Just cutting loose. Good stuff. And as far as dating goes, do you know how many dates I've been on in the last, let's see. I couldn't tell you the last date. And I have a memory like nobody on planet Earth. I can't tell you the last date that I went on. I don't mean like when I went out with people that I was with or whatever, but like where I went on a date, like, hey, this is you and this is me, and we're going to meet each other. I certainly haven't gone on one in this century. How's that? Not in this century. And I don't miss it, for the record. You know what? I only saw Bizarre. And whenever you read Bizarre, you got to pop that up there, right? Let's see what Lydia Von Stretchclaw. I love her name. This might seem bizarre, but I can see the positive which came out of the troll on the SPTV community. Although easy for me to say as I was not targeted. Do you mean that he brought us all together? Yeah, I mean, there's probably something to that. You know what? Trolls are trolls. They're cowards. They really are. They're cowards. This guy, they like to shoot their mouth off. They like to say all kinds of stuff. You know why I don't troll back at him? Here's what it is. Seriously. My email is out there. If one of these guys wants to talk their tough game about how that they can beat me this and they can beat me that, all they got to do is send me an email. I don't play any of those games. I'm going to sit and fire back and do all of that stuff. Send me an email. I'll meet you in private. You and I can go to an alley with nobody standing around, and the two of us can do it. Right? It'll never happen. Guy doesn't have the raisins he was born with. I stopped dating when the last perfect guy turned out to have a whole life at home. He forgot to mention God in heaven, Lady J. I am so sorry. Laptop quarterbacks. That's right, Russ. The further adventure of Cell Warrior. You know, they come in and they lock the door, and as soon as that thing locks, the guy starts in with the, oh, you're so lucky this door's locked. Really funny story. I'll tell you a quick one. I was working as the intake porter in Unit 1 in a county jail. Unit 1 is where when you first pop in, you're going to be there for 72 hours or whatever, and they're going to catalog you before they send you to the rest of the jail. And you very rarely get out of your cell, if ever. They may let you out one day to shower. They might not. It just depends on the cop, because you're only going to be there 3 days. But they need a cadre group of people who clean up and make sure everything's taken care of and hand out the meals and do all that. So if you're going to be in jail a long time, they'll stick you in the cadre unit. Well, I was facing a bunch of bank robberies, so they knew I was going to be stuck in the cadre unit. And a guy had come through from town that I knew, and the guy was just a softie, right? But he liked to pretend he was hard, and he was in cell 11, which was the closest one to the cop station, right? Because of how the numbers went. He was right there. And I'm sitting in there and I'm cleaning and this and that. And this guy's on the other side of the door and he is just lighting me up. You are so effing lucky that this door is here, man. When they pop these, because he knows we're not going to be out at the same time. When they pop these doors, you're dead, man. You hear me? You are dead. You are dead. And I'm like, whatever, man. I'm just putting up with the grit in my teeth. And as I was walking by the cop station, he goes, I'll let you in that cell. I said, what? He said, I'll pop that door, man. You want to go in there? I'll pop that door. He goes, I'll pop that door and you can lock it behind you. He said, the two of you can be in there. He said, but if it gets ugly or whatever, I'm coming in and I'm going to say I didn't know what was happening. I'm pepper spraying everybody. But if you just want to scare him, I said, oh, Lord, yes. And the doors go in, right? They don't go out. So I go walking up and I'm leaning on the door like this, and they're made of wood and they're all electric. So they just pop. They don't need a key. And I'm leaning up against the door and I'm like, man, you shouldn't be threatening me like that. We can end up. And he's like, and the door went click. And I just opened it and turned around and shut it behind me. And I said, well, will you look at that? No problem with the door. It's all popped. The two of us are in here. It was actually really, really funny. And it was funnier because this was not a guy that would have fought me for a gate pass, right? He would not have been willing to take a swing at me if they would have let him out the door. But it was very funny to get him in there doing his, hey, I'm really sorry routine. It's really quite funny. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Cell Warrior stuff, all that. But listen to me, people. Don't let them sell you on this. Whatever you do, don't build any relationships. You can't build any relationships. You're in you're in recovery. You've got to wait 3 years before you can do anything because you're in recovery. If that's the case, you're not going to recover. I'm not suggesting you should be looking for your next mate, because you shouldn't. You need to take care of you before you can take care of anybody else, right? But friendships and bonding and connection. I got an email from one of you day before yesterday. No, you can bring up that idiot. He's fun. Lydia, I'll never say him by name because I won't give him, the credit of the time of the day. But he's fun. He's fun. I'm hoping someday to meet him. I really am. He talks a good game. He's funny. He's funny as hell. He's Weenie in the Butt, right? Isn't you ever watch his show? It's like Weenie in the Butt from from Family Guy. He's a failure that's failed at everything he's ever done, which is funny because he said that about me. I haven't failed at anything except bank robbery, and I stole a lot of money. I just ended up in prison. I ratted out. It was kind of a sad thing. Glad it happened. Best thing that ever happened. People, this connection thing is no joke. It's not. You understand? This isn't a joke. If you're going to come here and you're going to dip your toe into the water and you're going to listen to what Captain Tommy has to say, and you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to start making my bed. Captain Tommy said it's a really good idea. I'm going to start making my bed, right? Yeah, and then I'm going to make some lists. I'm going to start making some lists about some of the things that I can do. Carrie Berry's mom. Hey, Carrie Berry. My problem is that none of this is in the big book. I always wondered who made up these rules. Well, Carrie Berry, if the big book works for you, fantastic. Fantastic. If the 12 steps work for you, fantastic. I couldn't be happier for anybody that the 12 steps work for. It did not work for me. It was not a program that worked for me for a lot of reasons. And one of them is not their fault. It's been watered down by the United States of America. Every judge in America, if you get caught for drugs or alcohol, or if it has anything to do as part of the case, If an element of your crime had something to do with drugs or alcohol, you are mandated to go to a meeting that you don't want to go to, usually 90 and 90 days. So if you walk into the average AA or any NA meeting in America, 70% of the people there are court ordered. They don't want to be there, and that takes away from what makes it work. So that was kind of a problem. The other thing is that the concept from the beginning was you were going to stand up in the room and you were going to say, "Hi, how you doing? I'm Tommy Scoville, and I'm addicted to heroin." I'm a public speaker. I worked as one, and I don't have a problem standing up in front of large groups of people and talking about whatever. Right? Again, in fact, I could probably do it naked and not care because I'm built differently than most people. I don't have that kind of the shame gene runs a little bit different in me than it does in other people. But for the average person who is 5 or 6 hours sober to stand up in a room and say, my name is Tommy and I'm a drug addict is a very difficult thing for most people to do. And that created an opportunity for us. I'm sorry that your daughter passed. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry that I got your name wrong. I really am. That's hurtful. I did not mean that, and I'm sorry for your loss, for Carrie's loss. The 12 steps don't work for everybody. They really don't. And the people that wrote the 12-step books, it was 2 guys, and they did wonderful things, but they did it at a time when things weren't like they are today. Technology has changed. So much has changed. And is this the perfect method? I don't have any idea. I don't think there's a perfect method. I really don't. And I'm just not the authority. I really am not. I'm not the authority on drugs. I spent 8 years reading about this stuff. I spent 30 years doing it. I have never once felt like I had any right sitting in this chair, right? And I don't know if Q would feel differently. I'm sorry. I never felt comfortable in this chair. I never felt like I had like I deserved to be in this chair. And maybe Q would, maybe Quentin Gettier would feel perfectly comfortable sitting in the chair. I don't know. I'm a drug addict. I'm not any different than any of the other people here. I don't have the answers. I have a lot of really great questions. I really do. I know what questions to ask to get you sober. I know what questions to ask. If you ask yourself the right questions, you'll get sober. If you make very small, subtle changes, you will get sober. Everything you do in your life has to be a proclamation that you are not the person that you were the day before. Everything. Seriously, I don't zip up my fly the same way. There is nothing that I do in my life that isn't a declaration that today I'm not going to be a drug addict. Today I am not going to get wasted. Plain and simple, right? It's not going to happen. I don't think I could stand up and open up. Sorry. I don't think I could stand up and open up like that in front of people. Everyone takes a different path, I guess. You know what, Jeremy? Everybody does take a different path. I'll just be really honest with people because that's why we're here, right? I loved a 12-step group, especially if it was Narcotics Anonymous. If I could get near the microphone, I could BS everybody in the room into thinking that I was sober. My goal was always to become the speaker as quick as possible and at least get one day up there where I could talk to the entire group. Because then what they were going to write on that piece of paper to my probation officer was that, man, he got out of his comfort zone. This dude got up and talked, right? I just used it as a way to work things and I didn't care. The NA meeting I was attending assumed everyone came from a rehab center. It wasn't for a person who just walked off the street. Yeah, Gypsy Daisy, there's a lot of different ways that AA can be run. The vast majority of them are open meetings so that anybody can go. Then they've got closed meetings, they've got men's meetings, they've got women's meetings, they've got Christian meetings, they've got all kinds of. Full of Hope says AA rooms are full of predators. It's safer here. Well, nobody here is going to grab your hand. Nobody here is going to, if they ask you out, at least it's going to be done virtually. There are certainly a lot of guys who hunt looking for people in that kind of community. Community is unity. I like that. Narcs used trauma bonding. He was jealous. He was jealous of my dead husband. Took 5 years to finally get away. Dave, I met, helped me. Now he is gone. Just a lost soul now. Finding Dave dead haunts me. I'm a shell now. Becky, if I may, and I don't know you, hun. You know what I mean? I don't. And I don't. And I hate doing this with the entire world watching as well. But we are going to get up tomorrow morning and we're going to fill our air sacs, right? Tomorrow morning, you're going to get up, you're going to take a big breath of oxygen. And the sad reality of the world is that he's going to be gone. He's going to continue to be gone. He's never not going to be. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what you're talking about is a 10, right? We've talked about this so many times on the boat. You do the perspective. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what you've been through is a 10 on top of a 10, right? You've been through more than anyone has any reason to endure in life. What you can do, Becky, is that can define every single day going forward for the rest of your life, right? You can spend the rest of the time that you have on planet Earth suffering and reliving that moment. Or what you can do is come to grips. And before you get angry at me and go, oh, it's a lot easier said than done. I know that. But there are things you can do. And if you haven't done them, then you need to try them. Communication with the people who are no longer here is essential. So often we find ourselves virtually pissed off at the person that left. Not saying that's you, on. But very often underlying, we're angry because they left us. And we would never think to ourselves, well, of course I'm angry at him. You'd go, no, I'm not angry at him. He died. How could I be angry at him? I loved him. When you start peeling the onion back, very often we're angry because we've been left alone. We're angry because we've been left without warning. And we're angry because, for God's sake, you had to find them, right? All of these things can leave marks. But what needs to happen, Becky, is whether you write letters to Dave, and to the narc, whether they obviously Dave's not going to see it. It doesn't matter if anybody ever sees these, but you have to start writing letters to these people so that you can work through the things that are in your life. You need to start talking to individuals, and they don't have to be $175 an hour people. They can be people who are just willing to listen. But you have to get everything that is inside of you out of you. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a day, Becky, where you wake up and you know what? The sun's not going to shine and the birds aren't going to be 3 little birds on my doorstep. It's still going to suck. But it's going to suck that much less than it did the day before. It's going to suck that much less. And for a brief moment, you're not going to feel like a shell. Are you going to feel like you're stuffed full to the brim? Probably not. But you're not going to feel like a shell. And Becky, I'm not smart. I'm not any of the things that somebody giving you this advice should be. But what I can tell you is you're not the first person on the boat that I've had this conversation with, and you're not the first person on the boat who literally had, if not the exact same situation, this close. But people who have been through multiple losses in a similar way, and people taking advantage of them. And I have watched what people have been able to pull off. But it has to start very systematically. It really does. It has to start systematically. And you have to do things that feel so, I don't mean this in a homophobic sense. I mean this in the sense that I used it growing up. A lot of the things that you're going to do are just going to feel gay. They're going to feel like they don't make any sense to you. Like you're going to be going, this just feels odd, right? This feels unnatural. I feel stupid doing this. You're going to feel like Stuart Smalley. But you get up in the morning and you make a list of all of the reasons that it's fantastic to be alive. And I know, Becky, that in the early days, that list isn't going to be big. right? In the beginning, you're not going to have 5 pages. But if the only thing that you can write is that, you know what, the sun feels warm on my skin, anything. But gratitude does not come up and slap you in the freaking face. When life kicks the crap out of you, you have to go looking for gratitude. And then you have to actually write it down because you'll forget it very quickly. You see, when we have a gaping hole in our life, David, the loss of David is a gaping hole in your life. We got to start smoothing the edges up, right? If not, everything just continues to fall into it. Becomes this black hole that sucks everything into place. And I did not mean to put you on the spot, hon, and I didn't mean to do this to you, and I hope you don't hate me. I really do. I hope that you don't hate me. But Becky, you can have a life back. Is it going to be the same life? Is it going to be fantastic? Is it going to be the best thing that ever happened? Of course not. It's not going to be what it was. And you know what? I lost somebody very near and dear to me. I'll be really honest. It's probably not the right way to say it. I ran off somebody. I destroyed somebody that I loved more than anything in the world. I destroyed them. Just they're not the same. I'm never going to be the same. But I'm going to have a great life. You know what? There are people in my life right now that I love, that I have great relationships with. I mean, do I have a significant other? I don't. Right? And that may not be in the cards. Might not ever happen ever again. But I'll tell you something. I'm going to get real cool with me. I am very, very happy with myself and Squirrel Nut Zipper. Right? The two of us have made a colossal team. And I think that when you get to the point where you really are happy with who you are, unusual things start happening. It's when you tend to run into people, right? So I was never looking when I found the person. No, it's because when you're not looking, it's usually because you're comfortable in your own skin, happy being you. And when you're happy being you, it attracts other people to you. My husband has relapsed. We've been together for 14 years. I don't want to go through his addiction again. Well, I do not blame you for not wanting to go through his addiction again. It was 3 years of lies, theft, and worry. Crystal, I don't know what your husband's drug of choice is, but it is going to be lies and theft and worry. Now, the fact that he's relapsed, can you get in his face and talk to him about this? This is really important, right? Bro, you're not making this easy, hon. I'm loving you, but you're not making this easy today. Sorry, people. I don't know how to undo what Squirrel just did. There we go. There we go. Rick Smith, I don't even know what you're saying, but start today is the greatest piece of advice ever, right? Writing letters to people we lost is freeing. I recommend it. I still write letters to my best friend who died back in 2010. It feels like he's still listening sometimes. I write letters to people who have passed away. I write letters to people who are alive that are just never going to take another call from me. Right? I mean, I can write letters to my ex-wife, and sometimes I do when I feel like I need to say some things. She's never going to see them, but it's a huge thing. People, I run a show that's 1 hour long, and I end up talking about things that are really heavy issues in people's lives. And I feel like such a loser when I talk about something for 15 minutes and then I leave them, right? And then I leave you to go back to your life. I can't solve anybody's problems. I can't. It's something that I had to come to grips with, which might sound really, really silly, but I'm not God. I don't walk on water, and I can't put my hands on people and make them better. I can try to build a place where everybody will love one another. And in doing so, healing takes place. But you're going to have situations sometimes where you need to go and talk to a professional, and you're going to have somebody there that does this for a living and knows a great deal about brain chemistry, because for some of us, we need that brain chemistry altered. And I don't mean with a bong hit or a shot of heroin, but there are people who need to have chemicals put into the brain to keep things on an even keel. And do you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. I always wonder about what happens to couples when one falls backwards. You mean in relapse? More often than not, if there are two people who are in recovery, one is going to drag the other down. That's usually what happens, unless, like, let's say you and me and Squirrel are together, and Squirrel relapses. I get out of Dodge. I have to put down my foot right then. I have to say, listen, this is it. If you're going to continue to do this, then I got to be gone. You're going to get help right now, or I'm going to leave, because more often than not, it's going to drag you. It's going to drag you down. You know what? I really appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Look, I'm not a shrink, people. I'm not. I'm never going to be. And sometimes it's hard because I feel so strongly for some of the things that you're going through. I really do. It's hard. It's hard, and it's a heavy job, man. Right? It's a really heavy job. But if everybody comes here and treats each other with love, then you do all of the heavy lifting. Jeremy, that's a really kind thing to say, man. I really appreciate that, because you know what? Sometimes, people, that's about all I'm worth. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's about all I'm worth, is just being able to be here and talk to you. And you know what? The opposite of addiction is connection. It's a very big thing for me to be able to come here and connect with all of you. You're a great group of people. You really are, every last one of you. And if you're struggling today, don't do it in silence. All right. We're at the top of the hour. That doesn't mean that you have to stop reaching out to people on the boat. It doesn't mean you have to stop talking to people. You know what? If there's somebody on the boat that has pissed you off, maybe try forgiving him today. If there's somebody that's not on the boat that really has angered you, maybe try forgiving him today. For you, not for them. Right? Give it away. Give it away. Give it away. Give it away. Right? The root of the word is to give away. Just Ruth, I know how you feel. She says, I wish I could say something to help. You know what? This is the one we're going to go with, right? This is the one that we're going to go with. Right here. I love you. Right? With all your flaws, with all of your warts, with all of your bruises, with all of your scars. I love you. Every last one of you. Now, look at yourself in the mirror and start telling yourself that you love yourself as well, huh? Seriously. Self-love is going to be what makes this fly. You got to love yourself, right? If you want to love somebody else, people, you certainly have to start by loving yourself. I am so thankful that you are all here. I really am. Hey, thank you so much. I love you too. Looks like some European money. Thank you so much for the contribution and the donation to all of you who are making this thing. People, we're this close to the lifeboat being full time. We're literally this close to me being able to shut down. Just being able to do this on a 40-hour-a-week basis, which is a dream. Kat, where are you going? Well, she was in the basket right until the very end, and she just wants to be snotty. Come here. Oh, she's eating. Can't bother a cat while she's eating. In fact, if you listen carefully, she's getting her crunch on. Just bought a brand new. Hey, Skywalker, you're not going to hate yourself today. You know what, people? It's going to sound so stupid. It's going to sound so uncomfortable. But damn it, every one of you is going to do this today, right? Because you all claim to like Captain Tommy. All of you claim to like me. So you're going to do this today. You're going to go and you're going to look at yourself in the mirror. You're going to stare at yourself and you're going to say, no joke. You know what? I love me. I love me because I'm worthy of love. I love me because I'm worthy of love. Don't let any of the people that BS'd you into thinking that you're anything other than that. You are a human being worthy of love. One of the most complex creations that, you know what I think. Whatever you think works, right? Whatever you think works. I believe God designed us, but your assignment today is to go look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're worthy of love. That you're a good person, that you're worthy of love. And you know what? How many times do I have to say it? Until I tell you to stop. I'll be back tomorrow. Keep saying it until you feel it. Hey, Jenny, I'm proud of you. I'd love to hear that story sometime, Jenny. For real. Send me an email. I'd love to hear that story sometime. See, it makes you cry. Nothing wrong with that. No mirrors in my house. John Doe, if there was one cat that was going to say, I don't have a mirror in my house, I would have bet you both of my cars. It would have been you. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic day. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we'll see you on the next one. God bless.